answers this question.
In regard to real estate, the payments that they are currently made for real estate, major payments, maybe the initial payments are done through digital. The reality is that online payments for a huge chunk of money is almost not possible for real estate payments. Like, if no one buys a real estate property on like a credit card, maybe the initial payments are made because of the charges. Even maybe when someone goes to rent a property, I wanted to use the audience. How many of you, audience, are paying your rentals on your credit cards? Hardly any. No, I can say no one. Everyone is using in Dubai the post-dated check. It's the reality is that's not going to change because of the cost of using the digital payment methods of payments. That's not going to go away. I mean, none of the landlords are ready to take the charges and say, okay, I'm going to pay the charges, you pay the rent, and this 2% or 3% charges I am going to pay. Or none of the developers, when someone is actually selling the property. So if someone is buying and paying 100,000 dirham on credit card, they're going to be at 2 or 3%. No one does charity business. Everyone wants to make sure that they are receiving the money. And therefore, using the digital gateways is normally for the initial payment in real estate.
If I may jump in here, I'd like to thank the authorities for letting me speak here in PropTech and Mr. Gofa, with all respect. I think actually it should go through that route because the bigger companies are managing a lot of assets. If they're renting their property, if they could have access to let their tenants not settle their payments with checks and have payment gateways or other integration to settle their payments, it is much easier and it's less costly for the business because you don't need to have someone to go settle these checks because people do hire just for this service. This is unrealistic. It can be done much more efficiently, and Dubai is already above and beyond that with other services, so this can be easily implemented.
I can agree with you because we had almost 7 billion dirham bounced checks for the PDCs in the last year, but the reality is that Dubai is still a post-dated check as a guarantee for rental, especially for rental. It's not like a developed market such as what happens, like let's say in the UK, that the people they don't receive any PDCs when they rent their properties. Here, no one is renting this property unless if maybe it's one payment for someone. When it goes to 3 payments, 4 payments, or 12 payments, everyone will use the PDCs. I mean, of course, it's going to be having its own hassles, but the reality is not going to change.
No, I have a slightly different.
From the banker's perspective.
In fact,
yeah.
The only banker on the panel here. And I kind of agree with the fellow panelists here about, but then let's look at where we were, 5 years ago or 10 years ago versus where we are today and where will we reach, let's say, a few years down the line, right? In the past, there were not, too many, how do I call it, to motivate developers so that they could move on to the, move their payments or move their receipts, for that matter, onto the digital channels. In the past, the central bank we did not have a direct debit system. In the past, we just had the checks in the economy, and there is a cost to the economy. When one check gets written, there's been a calculation that it costs the economy close to 8 dirhams to the overall economy, right from the printing to reaching to the bank, and then from there to going to the customer, and from customer going to the final beneficiary, right? So, and then check getting signed off and getting into clearing and all that stuff. So there is a cost to the economy on the check. So what central bank did is, and it, of course it was, they realized that there is a cost in the economy, and this is the burden which needs to be taken away. But then, can you do it like on an overnight basis? Of course not possible. So what they did a few years ago, I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, they had launched something called direct debit system. There was a catch on the direct debit system where while I as a customer may be interested in signing up for direct debit to make my recurring payments to the developer or to the landlord, but then from a legal perspective, DDS, a return of a direct debit would not have any legal implication. So check was the only instrument where landlords could go back and hunt down the tenant or somebody whose check got bounced. So a return, a direct debit was always considered as a civil offense and not a criminal offense. But then now what we see in the market is there is a slight uplift in terms of people, for that matter, landlords, right? Large landlords, the conglomerates which run, towers here with, hundreds of facilities. They have started adopting digital collections. So e-commerce is one of the ways where they have, put out for the customers so that they can go online and start making payments online. But then, what happens to the following checks? Initial payments, landlords are happy to take that hit of, let's say, 2% or 1.5% because they also negotiate with their acquirers who would offer them, the best price. And the real estate pricing comes up at around, 100 basis points, and I think that even banks are happy to, take the hit, and that is what happens, from a relationship perspective. But then what happens to the following checks? Would as a landlord, am I interested in getting that piece of paper, which is called direct debit, a mandate, or I would still want a copy of check because tomorrow, if this check bounces, I can at least have a legal case. So I think there is a movement towards digital payments, and everybody in the country wants to go onto that side. How far will we reach? How soon will we reach? Is the question.
So is the problem there then the recourse? Is it the fact that the only, if I've understood this properly, that the only means to have full recourse is checks, which is why we're kind of stuck in that system? Do you guys agree?
Absolutely. Because there is only, I think, implications about the legal recourse.
And Sam, are you smelling? What's up?
Okay, I disagree. We agree in principle with all what's said. If we break down the digital payment, it's with first the technology, second the cost of applying that technology, third it's the regulations or the laws around. Laws have been the most challenging. Now I believe if we sit here next year, the answer would be most of the developers would use the technology. One, because the market is forcing you. You need to adapt to the market, you need the money, you're not collecting, the speed of collecting the money, the value of that money. The benefits are far exceeding the disadvantages. The most important coming into is the laws that are coming. So the fact that if you have a tenant, your ability, if he defaults, not because you have a PDC so you will take it to court, but going to the real estate dispute committee and getting a fast decision that you will be able to evict him or force him to pay. And at the same time, for service charge payment, you're able to make precautions where the land department will help you in a very fast, easy, smooth, fast way, not only through the PDCs. That will remove the issue of obstacles of the laws. So you wouldn't need that PDC to protect. Once you remove that, then it becomes, should you use digital? Do you have the technology? Second is the cost. For us, I belong to a group. So as a group, we're a big leverage. We're a group, so we have different departments. We have created an innovative product where our credit cards don't cost me. So if I use the credit card and I allow my tenants to pay by rent, and apology on this, but you said no developer, we do take credit cards, and all the rents are paid by credit cards, and a big chunk of the payment for sales is paid by credit cards. Now why? Because we accepted, we realized the market and the benefits. The benefits far exceeds, with this market, far exceeds the disadvantage. I don't want to have the PDC to go after the customer where he doesn't have the money, but he does have the credit on the credit card. So that's an advantage. Not only that, we actually give him a benefit. So if he uses our credit card, for example, a full-time credit card, he will be able to take a 12 installments immediately at no cost to me and no cost to him. He will also take a cashback, so it's a discount of 5%. So we put the innovative solution into the digital platform that allows us to get faster collection, higher retention of our customers. Since we introduced it, we did get a higher retention. So I think in a year's time, many of the other developers will go into that. I know many of the big developers, a year, 3 months ago, I am paying for my other things. Many of them would say no credit cards. A credit card is only acceptable maybe in service charge. But recently, if you go talk to them and say, I want to pay by credit card, they'll accept it. The market is forcing it. Now, having that digital platform to make it faster will assist. I, as an experience, sorry if I'm not over taking my time, but one of the very fast experiences, paying my service charge, when one of the developers went to Mulaki and I get my service charge invoice through land department, and it gives you a click of a button and you pay through the land department, and you're paying to land department. It took me 5 minutes to pay my service charge. Where at first I was confident, it has been budgeted, it is approved, it's regulated, it will be confirmed that the payment is paid. Why wouldn't I pay it? And it makes me pay it faster. I remember 6 months before I used to call the developer, I used to need to go to his site. So yes, digital, there's no way anybody that understands it, especially when you have an economy of scale, when you have big mass data, the data you're getting out of that digital platforms that you will be using is a huge. The seamlessness of that experience for the customer will add value that he will stay. He will not leave you. You will have a retention. But not only that, you will add more services. For us, it's a real estate, but we also have a shopping mall, we also have auto. So it's an amazing, the data we get out of it is...
So I think there's two interesting things that come out what you just said, and I want to put these back to the panel. On the one hand, we're talking about disintermediating the traditional middlemen. So it'd be interesting to talk about how these changes will affect the traditional banking system. And then on the other hand, I think there's a very important point being made about customer service and customer experience. So how can these new efficiencies, this new technology, improve the customer experience within the real estate transaction? So over to you guys. Maybe Stephen, you've not had a chance to speak yet, so I don't know which of the two you want to address, but it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts.
Just particularly on how people are paying, I think there's a lot of danger if you're allowing these digital payments, but by credit facilities. And particularly for big things like rent, people should not be putting that kind of thing on credit cards, in my opinion. Sorry. But providing that mechanism to people is creating a bigger bubble that is necessary. Digital payments are clearly the way forward. With technology, with blockchain, with other things in place to be able to facilitate this, it's absolutely the way forward. It will give a lot of people in the market the ability to regulate and manage their cash flow better without dipping into credit. You know, when you're able to pay your rent monthly or twice a month, whatever it might be, typically linked to a payment cycle for your salary, so monthly for most people, that will give a great relief to a lot of people here in being able to manage what they can afford, where they live, you know, the value for money proposition that they get from that. So absolutely, digital is a way that payments need to go ahead.
And so, Amal, what will happen to the traditional banking system then as more and more
It's
legacy on
it is no more tradition. We are moving on to the digital age, and banks have learned their lessons with many fintechs out there trying to eat our lunch. So I think every bank is moving on to the digital side, having several initiatives across the board. And I'm the executive lead who runs the digital initiatives for the entire movement bank, and I see the amount of projects we are involved in on the digital side, right from the onboarding to payment to something called distributed ledger technology. So list goes on. So again bringing the topic back to the real estate, from a banking perspective, we have several solutions which banking products are predominantly commoditized, right? Every bank would have it, but then what would we have it for either the developers? And again, there are if you were to look at the receivables, we are typically talking about receivables for the developers or the landlords. I, as a customer, how am I paying to the developers? And that's a real estate industry. So, and if I were to divide that into somebody who owns the property versus someone who rents the property. So, how do you own a property? You buy a real estate first, which is let's say off plan, and how are you making a payment? So, if I'm somebody who's a resident, I would either write a check or I would typically wire the money, and I was discussing with the finance panelists about my recent purchase with one of the developers. I wire the funds from one my banks to their bank. There are challenges with the developers because they would need a confirmation from my end that hey, I have paid the money, and they would need at least, let's say, 24 hours or probably 48 hours to send me a receipt of it. So these challenges from a banking perspective do not exist. These are from the developers, from the landlords who have their own processes which they need to really ensure that they are working with their existing bank to ensure those statements directly get plugged onto their, let's say, in-house ERP system so that things can get knocked off electronically. As I speak again, I have somebody smiling. So these are developers who need to really work on it. From a banking perspective, these are the channels available.
So developers, how do you work?
There's a lot of stakeholders involved. So this is where the advantages of the blockchain are going to come in and make a difference here. The regulations is one of it. There's a little bit of oversight that they require. The banks are one part of it because they're where the funds are coming from. There's different channels that the funds can come through. There is the developers, the landlords, the tenants. The technology needs to use the tools that are going to enable all of those people to come together to function for that one purpose. Whether it's a deposit, whether it's a rent payment, whatever it is. And that's where the PropTech needs to bridge the gap.
The use of digital payments can be a lot more widened in this current economy if the rules and regulations are already in place. I mean, still it's going traditional based on like postage checks. I agree, the future is digital. The world is going toward that. And 30, 40 years ago, there was no mobile phone, maybe there were some pagers. Now no one can live without a mobile. The future is all digital, but the rules and regulations need to be in place. What's going to be the impact of this digital payments we are going to have on traditional banking? I believe that it will have some impact on the bankings based on they won't need more branches that they used to have in the old traditional way of doing it, and they had to open branches everywhere. Now they can have a call center who sits somewhere, and obviously it has got its own challenges as well because of the different culture, and maybe they don't understand each other very well when they are discussing over the phone about a credit card or debit card. But obviously there are going to be some challenges regarding for the new bankings, that they are not going to need any more expansion as it used to be. Every street you used to go and you used to see a bank. Now maybe you have to drive for 5-10 minutes to find a bank because they all just put their cash machines here and there. They are not using it anymore. I mean, obviously it can cost some jobs for primary people. They used to sit as a cashier, but obviously they will need more technical people who sit at the back door and they just answer the telephone calls or the online chats.
Of course, and I think if we can sum up what we've just been talking about, there's three main pillars in the system. So you need to have regulatory support, because if you don't have that, then nothing is enabled. You need to have the tech, and then you need to have the best practices. So on these points, there's a couple of things I wanted to discuss with you guys. First of all, on the best practices side of things, so what are the best practices that developers need to put in place in order to engender this positive evolution? And then after that, I want to talk about the tech a little bit more. So maybe over to the developers, what are developers doing to engender best practices in the space?
Do what I said. Okay, what we've done, and it works. It really works. We've aligned, like you said, it's the 4 pillars. It takes a developer with its technology, it takes the banks or the financial institute, you need the regulation, and you need the customer interest or willingness. Using a credit doesn't mean you're in bad debts. It's a cash management. If you're managing your cash, you know where you want to put your money in a better place rather than just paying a new bridge. So using a cash or a credit does not mean it's really a negative thing. So offering that facility.
I'll tell you the secret here. The developers want to shift the risk from themselves to the bank.
Exactly.
That's why they want to.
That's why it's better.
Use a credit card.
So, for example, what we've done, we've created that credit card. It's with a specific bank. It really is an innovative product that gives me the benefit. And instead of having to take 4 payment PDCs or 6 PDCs with all its transactions and difficulties and inefficiencies, and wait for PDC. I'm giving him the credit card. he makes one payment, I get my full payment. For the customer, he can choose 12 installments, he pays it on 12 installments to the bank is benefiting, I am benefiting, the customer is loving it because on top of that, he's getting a bonus. Now, while you do that transaction, imagine the data you're actually able to realize and benefit from. So if we talk best practice, that is a really best practice. The only loophole, which is being covered as we speak, is the laws and regulations. Earlier, if I had a defaulter or a customer that did not pay, there's nothing I can do except take a PPC, go to police station, send the litigation team, and follow with that customer. Today, you can go to real estate dispute committee, and they make a decision in a week or two, especially with the new laws that are coming. So then, if that happens, I don't need to collect that PTC. So I don't need to have even that hard transaction of having to exchange the cash for a credit card. So then it will become extremely seamless, extremely efficient.
Because you asked about developer, being Messiah, developing in 7 different countries. In Dubai, we have developed and delivered now around 5,000 properties, and obviously, in the last 1 year or so, we are using this post-handover payment plans, obviously, and these clients, some of our clients use digital payment to make those payments, online transfers, because these clients, some of them, they are overseas, they are not here in Dubai, and obviously, once they are in Dubai, depends on, we are not forcing clients to give us PPCs, but if the client says, okay, I prefer bank transfer or a digital payment, still we are accepting those means of payments. Obviously, not everyone has the potential of Al Fatayim, they have their own credit cards and all this, obviously, that's not every developer in Dubai will have that opportunity. Maybe there is another Al Fatayim called Majid Al Fatayim will be able to sell their projects on that. But honestly, I don't see any other developer offering their own credit card and the payments of full rent on credit cards.
They want a bank as well.
Yes, exactly. I mean, maybe
it's not our own credit card. It's a credit card that is aligned with a bank. I want to make marketing with another bank, so it is a bank. But what it did, it was really a specific team that understood the value of that. Between the two parties, they did understand there's a value in how you do it, and each one, like we said, what are the obstacles? The obstacle is the cost of the transaction. Like you said, it cost me 2%, and do I want to pay the 2%? So if the bank understood, I go for volumes, not cost, so it's not no longer 2%, and it's based on the other benefits I will take. So it took the bank to give up something, it took us to give up something, and it took that alignment together for the customer to get that benefit. So yes, I agree. If you speak today, and if everybody wants to have that stand, it's 2% when you do a transaction, it might not be worth it. But if that will change, and I think what's forcing the banks to change, and what's forcing the developers to change, and that's why I said by next year, I think we will be sitting here, everybody will be using digital, or they'll allow a credit card, because the market is forcing it. I really had issues in leasing. When I introduced the credit card, the retention was higher. People stayed in the apartments. People stayed. When we introduced some payments to make it easy for them, what do you want to do? You want to make it easy for customers to pay. That's all what it is. You want to make it easy for them to come in. You want to make it difficult for them to leave. And that's what we've done. And it worked.
If I may jump in here, back to that question. For example, there's a lot of laws that's not being practiced traditionally in the market. For example, electronic signatures have been legal since 2007, but obviously you can't sign a check with electronic signature. But if you skip the check, and if you have a payment gateway or a payment solution that you can pay online, you can settle the invoices with using blockchain, so everything is there and it's not corrupted. Also, you could use it to sign off these invoices. This actually reduces time in the rental dispute center if you want to do the fact checks. If someone is not paying, it's because they can't settle the payment. So what's the point of getting a fine if you can't settle it anyways? Or if you have a payment solution, you can spread the payments. This is between the owner and the tenant who's supposed to be.
Guys, aside from the value of the banks will know, you're getting your cash immediately. You're not waiting and transacting and taking checks and going to a bank, and when it gets clear, it's immediate, it's faster, you're getting value of that. you're getting value of data, you're also building loyalty, a ton of payments. I mean, we say, when you pay me, you'll get 5% cash back. So all what I said is, I encourage the person to pay me. And why wouldn't they want to take that benefit? The faster they make the benefit, the sooner, the better it is for them. So it's really work. And when you add on other components, it just adds value to the customer, to the developer, to the bank, and to everyone. And for land department, it's less headache. The faster the laws are there to say, the deal is you lease, you pay. And if you don't, and if the party defaults, they'll get penalized, and they'll get faster action to evict or move.
So I think there's two things we need to kind of dive into at this stage. We've got about 8 minutes left to do so. On the one hand, the regulatory side of things. So you've been talking about the new laws that are coming. You've been giving some suggestions. So where does the regulatory environment need to go to enable digital payments to work perfectly? And then I want to talk about blockchain, but we'll talk about that later. So let's just finish up on the regulation side of things. Anyone?
I think it's in the right track. What has been the challenge? The challenge has been, if I have a tenant who's leased with me, signed a contract, gave me 5 PDCs or 4 PDCs, let's take 2 scenarios. I didn't take checks or I took checks. If I didn't take checks, if he defaulted because he's supposed to pay me in April and he didn't, it used to take me a long time until I do something about it. So he's sitting in the unit, it's blocked, it's a halt, I'm not making money, he's not paying me, I don't know what to do. If I had a check, I'd use the check as a criminal, I'll take it to a police station and then do that transaction. I'm not in that business, I don't want to do that. I just want the guy to leave, especially if he left the country or others. Right now, the regulations are there to allow the so-called real estate dispute committee, to dispute court or whatever. It makes a decision fast. In a week or in 2 weeks, they can do the eviction and give you the right. Earlier, you used to notice, and it takes months and months, so you lose. That's why you cared about the PDCs. Once they have that clause, regardless of PDCs, and they have the regulation to allow you to go and raise the case once he defaults, you're good. You don't need to keep collecting those PDCs, and you can allow all the methods of payments, and digital will be the fastest way. And if they have a platform where payments can be done like they did in the Mulaki in the service charge, and they're able to track it, and then it automatically creates that if you're a defaulter, it allows, it's by authorities, it's by land department, it's done. And I think the laws are there. Right now they're in just the final draft. I think they mentioned it somewhere in the media, in the newspaper a couple of days ago. And they're putting more challenge on both. They're balancing the laws. They're saying if you're a developer and if you charge more money from the deposit on the customer, I'll charge you penalties. I'll penalize you. And if for the customer, if he doesn't pay, you will be requested to pay.
We have a few hundred tenants in some of our properties in different buildings in the IFC and in Divan, in different area. And let's say all of our clients are using the PDCs, but obviously a lot of them, before the PDC is due, they are making the payment through digital payment and they're taking their PDCs back. But the thing about the regulations that has to be properly implemented to make that security and peace of mind for the landlord, because the tenant is living in the property. Until they are there, they are not vacated from the property, it's going from my pocket. And being the landlord, it's going from my pocket. If I'm supported by a proper, regulations that eviction can be like the person, okay, now you're not paying rent, you're 1 week delay, this is your 1 week notice, and you have to leave the property. That will make it a lot more sensible for, the PDCs to be replaced by the people believe in digital payments and other means of payment, because they say, okay, fine, fair enough. If the guy doesn't pay, within 1 week I'm going to vacate him. Before, for the PDCs, you have to run for 2-3 months to go, criminal case, the guy may end up in jail, but his family is still living in the property until you vacate, you're still losing, But those regulations has to be implemented as quick as possible and to be implemented properly. Then it's going to help in this market.
So greater levels of certainty.
See, from a regulatory perspective, again, what Dubai has learned entire regulation came into picture and RERA was formed, and that is when we are seeing things after let's say 8, 9, 10 years, you're seeing things are getting more mature. Now we have owners association. Now that piece was not regulated earlier, and now it is regulated. Also, very recently, I would say, sometime last year, Abu Dhabi has also come with a regulation. They have their own sort of RERA there, where even Abu Dhabi, it is within Abu Dhabi municipality which handles the property construction. You have RAC, you have Ajman, all these areas where regulators have started working with the industry itself. They, with Abu Dhabi municipality for that matter, have been working very closely with the industry, with the developers. Similarly with Dubai as well. So these are the guys who are living the best practices. These are the guys who are learning from the industry and implementing the solutions what the developers or the industry need. So I think it's a great it's been a great journey so far.
Speaking about regulations, for example, as a startup company, we're focused on providing property inventory services for tenancies, so there's no disputes and security deposit theft or misusage. So, for example, we don't have regulations supporting to do such a thing, but we know in the market it's needed, and real estate professionals would use such a thing. So we'll go ahead and roll it out and see what type of feedback we get, and the government finds out that it's a useful tool, and then all people can benefit from it. Something like this, security deposit can be taken by a jari, set it rather than held by property supervision companies or so forth, which is illegal. They can set it, charge a small fee. Now they have to know that real estate professionals get off the headache of them coming back to agents saying, oh, you didn't tell me about this and that. The tenant is more happy that it's not going to be mistreated. Landlord knows that anything happens, he can claim legally more money than what the security deposit barely would pay for. So something like this, regulation, we can do it legally, but there's no regulation to support it. But that's fine. The law will catch up because they understand they can benefit.
I would add that not even to put it with Ijari. You don't need the deposit. If you can have a regulation that forces whenever the guy leaves, because he needs to pay what he damaged, what defines that relationship makes it that whole transaction is not treated right. It's difficult on the developer and it's difficult on the tenant. And it is very, to me, every transaction I have from the customer coming in to the customer leaving is very easy and smooth. The only transaction that we're still tackling is the refund deposit. Because you need to send some team to check the unit and the standard of it, and then you have that dispute of it, and then the whole transaction of it. So that I agree, it's a very complicated scenario. And there are some laws now, they're coming to some clarity on it, but it's still, yes, that's an area I think should be tackled.
We have a couple of questions from the audience, I think, so.
And yes, we have 2 questions from the audience, a possible third. So name, company, and question.
My name is Islam from 2454. My question is for Sam, since you implement this mode of thing. The question is basically, is it more easy to implement a digital payment for corporate sector, like for the commercials and the malls and all this, or it is more easy for implemented it from residential perspective?
If I understood you, you're saying if the retailer,
yes.
What we've done it on corporate level. The deal was done on an Al-Futain group, not only for real estate. Actually, real estate was behind. We had to fight, and again, like the whole point of what does it cost me? Because customers might not use my card. I can't say you're only allowed to use Al-Futain. The minute I started to allow credit cards, I anticipate that other customers would use other credit cards. And I accepted. I put a very solid case that why should we accept it? So it was actually more difficult for residential to use it than corporate. On corporate, it has done extremely well for us. Whether you buy from IKEA, whether you buy from Otto, whether you buy any Al-Futain brand, if you go and the minute you put the card, you have the option of payments up to 12 months, and you have a cash back of 5%. It just comes back. You can use it as cash or miles. So for retailers, it's actually the loyalty program and the data, because it's mass. For us, we're limited. The numbers are not big, but the value of every transaction is a huge. So 2% for 100,000 is a lot of money. But we did it, and it proved the point and gave a benefit.
But just to add to what Thomas mentioned,
Sorry.
solutions for corporate or retail, I think it really doesn't matter. It is the developers' internal policies, because the check what a company is issuing, let's say IKEA, having rented Alpha Times real estate there, having how would they typically pay them? How would Alpha Time would want to receive those payments? Would they accept a commercial car getting swiped? Of course not, because the amount of damage it will have will be massive versus a retail payment which will be a very small amount. So it is from a company's perspective. But then what we are seeing,
We have two more questions. May I ask both gentlemen to exercise enormous brevity? Your name, company, and question, sir.
Dear from East and West Real Estate. The first question, what is your alternative if the law is not implemented? And there's a chance that this might be not implemented. Second,
So you can't understand the question, sorry.
what is your alternative if the law is not implemented? For you want to copy, you don't want people to pay BTC, and then you want the law to be changed. You said there is some upcoming laws that will help people to pay monthly installment without BTC. The second,
Just one question, sir.
I don't use credit card, so the country, many people are not using credit card. What is the alternative also for these people?
I think I understood your first question, that was if the laws and regulations doesn't come in place, what's going to be the substitute, is what you said?
Yes, true.
Okay, I think
That
was a good one. Actually, I do not believe that the vice government of Dubai are not going to come with the laws and regulations. As we have seen, the leadership of His Highness, everything is fallen in place in Dubai. I mean, from 2002, when the freehold property law came in place in Dubai, and everything is done really Godspeed, and everything is going very fast, and the laws and regulations and all these loopholes are getting covered. I believe the government will find it as a fact, and as a fact, they see it's happening, and they already, our friends in the land department, they have told us it's going to be in place. But obviously we have a second option. I'm not going to insist on that. For the time being, the current practice of the market is mostly on PDCs. But obviously it will eventually shift digital when the laws are in place, because these PDCs this is one of the maybe rare places that right now still PDCs are so effective, where in the developed countries that they are not using PDCs at all. And obviously PDCs are not even criminal case. I mean, it doesn't have any meaning in UK if you don't pay your rent. There is nothing called PDCs and criminal case. That's why the laws will be passed, and as it's been promised, and everything will go digital. How long it's gonna take? And obviously we are at the mercy of the government here to put because they are the ones who make the laws and the regulations, so we are the ones who follow. But I am almost certain that's gonna be very soon.
Thank you very much indeed. And our final question, name, company, and question, sir.
Yasser Al-Banna from Ajar Online. So what we focus on currently as Ajar is that we provide online payments to real estate companies and to property management companies to facilitate the payments. The thing we see is that property management companies and developers really like this, because they are having a way of having everything in one place, and they're saving costs a lot in terms of collection of checks, in terms of reconciliation, invoicing, and everything else. And tenants love it because they are getting rewarded for everything that they're spending money on in terms of credit cards, as well as the rewards that we offer with our partners. So with the benefits coming to both sides currently, and with the post-dated checks having pretty much lower value than they ever used to, what do you guys think is the main barrier for developers and property management companies to adopt such technology today, not in the future? So what is stopping everybody from going forward now and making that step to just move digital and save time, effort, and money?
I believe that it's not about property management companies who they are worried about using these systems in place. It's actually the landlords that they are not comfortable right now. And obviously the property management companies represent the landlords, and the landlords right now, their preference is the PDCs. And till, as I said, the laws and regulations are in place, I mean, then they are absolutely certain that they are not going to be having any risk if they don't have PDCs when they are renting their properties. Then obviously they are going to eventually instruct the property management companies to use the new systems. But for the time being, I believe that even property management companies, they are not allowed to take their risk and say, okay, fine, I'm not going to ask a PDC, and I'm going to be just, I'm going to take the word of the client, and they are going to make the payments. I don't really think anyone is ready to take such risk.
Just to add to that, change is just difficult, but as long as the end user benefits from it, it will happen, no matter what. That's a fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is where we conclude. Thank you very much to our moderator, Angelica. Thank you very much indeed.